Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jarada Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jayo Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe
Jaya Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe
Jayo Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe
Radha Krishna Chandra Radha
Jayo Nitai Gauranga Jayo Nitai Gauranga Jayo Nitai Gauranga
Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga
Jayo Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 14th chapter, text number 22. Atapi kamam etam te prajatyai karavanyhalam yata mam naiti rochanti muhurtam pratipalaya atapi kamam etam te prajatyai karavanyhalam yata mam nati rochanti muhurtam pratipalaya atapi kamam etam te prajatyai karavanyhalam yata mam nati rochanti muhurtam pratipalaya
अथापि काममेतं ते प्रजाते कर्माण्यलं यथा मां नातिरोचन्ति मुहूर्तं प्रतिपालय
अथापि कामम् एतं ते प्रजात्यै कर्माण्यलं यथा मां नातिरोचन्ति मुहूर्तं प्रतिपालय
Word to word meaning. Ata api. Even though it is not possible. Kamam. This sex desire. Etam. As it is. Te. Your. Prajatyai. For the sake of children. Karavani. Let me do. Alam. Without delay. Yata. As. Mam. Unto me. Na. May not. Atirochanti. Reproach. Muhurtam. A few seconds. Pratipalaya. Wait for. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srilaprabhupada. Translation. Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me. Please repeat the translation. Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me. Purport. The henpecked husband may not be able to repay his wife for all the benefits that he derives from her. But as for begetting children by fulfilling sexual desire, it is not at all difficult for any husband unless he is thoroughly impotent. This is a very easy task for a husband under normal conditions. In spite of Kashyapa being very eager, he requested her to wait for a few seconds so that others might not reproach him. He explains his position as follows. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapreshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. श्री श्री राधाकृष्ण शिष्य निताय गौरंग. अतापि कामम एतम ते प्रजात्यै करवाण्यलं यथा माम नातिरोचन्ति मुहूर्तं प्रतिपालया. Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only a few seconds so that others may not reproach me. So, Kashyapa Muni, after praising his wife in so many words, he's saying, I will satisfy your desire, but kindly wait for a few seconds. You see, uh, if somebody commits a mistake in ignorance, then the punishment is lesser. But if somebody commits the mistake in knowledge, then the punishment is far more severe. Whether you commit in ignorance or in knowledge, punishment is there, no doubt about it. But the severity of punishment is different for acts committed in ignorance and acts committed in knowledge. Whether it is the divine law or the civil law. So divine law means the law of the devatas, the controllers, their laws are there. And civil law means the law which is currently applicable to us in this world by the administrators of this world. So we are subjected to laws at both levels. At a law which has been given by the people who are ruling us here in this world, and we are also made culpable to the laws by the controllers of this universe from a world which is beyond this current perceivable world which we are able to perceive right now. So always we should understand that there is a divine law and there is a civil law. Civil law means our world. The courts, the police station, the political system that is there, they all come into the domain of the civil law. So Bhagavatam talks about both aspects. In fact, Bhagavatam is more or less concerned with the divine law and how one should conduct himself so that he doesn't fall prey to that divine law. Even in divine law, there are various levels. The devatas' laws, they have the administrators of this, the higher administrators of this universe. They have rules of conduct, how one must conduct in this world, how the living entities should conduct. For that, there are certain rules which they have given. So, according to that, higher conduct of rules is called, just like we have in this material world, what is right, what is wrong. our Indian laws are there. In India, we have laws. So if you go to another country, there's another country's laws. Right? So if you violate that laws, then you are liable to be punished. What is divine law? Divine law is there are administrators of the various facilities that we are receiving in this universe. Just like, for example, the political authorities of this country. Why are they forcing their laws on us? Right? Because they are managers. They have given you the roads. They have given you so many things. You have not built the road. Have you built the road? You have not built the road. Somebody else has built the road for you. Somebody else is providing so many facilities for you. And you are utilizing those facilities. So if you utilize those facilities, or if you are part of that ecosystem, then you have to abide by those principles who created those facilities for you. Right? That is the principle. Now, the current government has given you roads, has given you bridges, has given you waterways, so many things, right? We all enjoy those facilities. So, to enjoy the facilities built by the government, there has to be certain rules and regulations, some conduct. How you should conduct yourself if you have to utilize those facilities. That is given by, just like, for example, we are living in India, right? So in India we feel protected. Protected means what? Now you are able to practice your religion, you are able to do your business, you are able to do your work, so many things like that. So how you are able to do? Basically because you can see some soldier is standing on the Pakistan border, some soldier is standing on the China border. Hundreds of ships are managing in the Arabian Ocean and the Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean. So somebody is working for you. Otherwise, somebody will come and take away your property. Right? There was a time when India was attacked by so many invaders. And when the invaders came, what did they do? They will loot. They will loot whatever wealth you have created. Just like we have seen, Muhammad of Ghazni came 7 times. Muhammad of Ghori came so many times. The British came. Everybody, they looted and they went. So we realize that if we don't protect ourselves with our own army, navy and air force, then it is very difficult. We will be invaded by others, and by invasion means they will take whatever you have got and then take you as slaves and go. Just like Indians were made slaves all over the world. Right? So many Indians are still there in Africa. If you go, there are so many Indians there who all were taken to there to do slavery. If you go to Malaysia, Singapore, there are a lot of slaves there. Now there are no more slaves. They have got adapted to that life. But they were taken, Indians were taken to there to work in the rubber estates of Malaysia and Singapore. Similarly, in Africa, the English took Indians, the French took Indians, the Spanish took the Indians to get precious metals from those different mines and things like that. So, it is very important to understand that we need somebody else. So, if somebody else is giving us this sense of security, the sense of protection, then they have the right to create the rules for that place. So that is why they have created the rules, and we as citizens of India, we are supposed to abide by the laws of this land. That's why we say, we Indian, I abide by the constitution, so and so. We have certain rules, right? We have to abide by it. Now, the government has provided this security for us, this road and that, so many other facilities government is giving, right? Fine. So what is the divine law? Divine law goes further. Government is giving you all those things. But divine law is giving you freely rain, freely sunlight, freely air. So many different nature. The earth is giving you, all you have to do is put a seed, put some water which is again given by somebody else. So they are giving so many things to you. They are called divine managers. So those divine managers also have a rule for giving you these kind of needs and necessities which is fulfilling your daily life's requirements. There are rules. They have made certain rules. You follow the local rules, that is the Indian constitution, you have to follow. Similarly, there are divine rules. The laws of nature, they are given us some rules. You have to also follow those rules. And when you follow those rules, then those things which are given, you will get good air, good water, good sunlight, everything properly. Regulated way you will get it. If you don't follow those rules, then anavriti and ativrishti. Either it will become too much or it will become too less. Just like we see sometimes. Sometimes too less means anavriti. You famine, drought, all these are anavriti. Then ativrishti, excessive rain, excessive heat, ativriti, excessive cold, which is again suffering. So if you violate the local laws, then government will cut off. If you don't, the government is giving you current, government is giving you water supply, on the hope that at the end of the month, as per the unit rate, you will pay them that money. Right? So if you don't pay the electricity bill, if you don't pay the water bill, what will the government do? They will cut your supply. Similarly, there is a divine law. If you don't abide by those rules, then they will also cut off or make your existence very miserable. Krishna says this in the Bhagvadgita. Devan devayajo, what is that? Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad yajna sambhava yajnad bhavati parjanya yajna karma samudbhava. Krishna in the 3rd chapter explains how living entities are dependent on the various demigods or the administrators of this material universe. And how they should conduct themselves in connection with those different demigods. Krishna is saying, see, yajñārtāt karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangasaram param mukta sangas samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. So Krishna is saying in this verse that any work that you do, it should be done as a work of sacrifice to Vishnu. And if in that way, if you work, then you will remain unattached and free from bondage. Like we say, in this material world, we say, hey, you are violating the law, man. Supposing you want to do something wrong. Then you say, hey, you are violating the law of the land. To jail jayega. You will go to the jail. Jail means what? Bondage. You are bound. You are bound by the laws. If you break the laws, then you will be binded. Bind means what? To tie somebody. In the jail you are tied up because your freedom is tied up. You have a limited space of existence there. Right? So similarly, Krishna is saying our activities in this world should be performed as a yajna to Vishnu. Then what does Krishna says? Krishna says, Saha yajnaha praja srishta puro vacha prajapatihi anena prasavasyadyam mesha o astistva kamadukha. Krishna goes on to explain the connection of this universe. Krishna says, in the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu and blessed them by saying, be you happy by this yajna because its performance will bestow upon you all desirable things. So Krishna is saying, hey, in the beginning of this creation, that higher administrators, they along with Vishnu, along with his appointed chosen people, they created this universe and they provided so many things. That means, like for example, you take a house on rent. Right? You take a house on rent. If you take the house on rent, the owner has built that house. So whoever has taken that house, they have to pay a rent to the owner. So Krishna is saying, Vishnu is the owner and Vishnu has appointed his people who are managing that house and he has given you that house for you to stay. So that doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. You have to pay a rent. In that way, if you don't pay the rent, the owner will come and create problems for you. Anytime you don't pay the rent, immediately the owner comes and says, hey, time up, you go from here. He will kick you out from that house. You will not have any free peace of mind to stay in that place. You will have problems. If owner will come and shout. Sometimes you have seen in the material world also, if somebody doesn't pay the rent, the now owner will come and give gali, hey, you are not paying the rent. So many things, because there won't be any peace of mind. Suppose you will run off from the back if the owner is coming from the front. We have seen all these kind of things. So that's exactly what Krishna is saying here. Then Krishna says, Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantuvaha paraspam bhavayantaha shreya paramavapsyata. The demigods being pleased by sacrifices will also please you. Thus nourishing one another, they will reign general prosperity for all. Just like, for example, say, now I am here in Bhilai, but I am originally from Bangalore. I have a house in Bangalore. Right? I have my own house in Bangalore, so I am not staying in Bangalore. I am staying in Bhilai right now. My house, I have given it on rent to somebody. But I have told my tenant there in Bangalore that, my person is there here. You pay the rent to him. Now, every month, the tenant is paying the rent to my appointed person. And when the appointed person is getting the rent, I am able to get the information that my tenant has paid the rent. So thus I am happy. I will not disturb the tenant. But if my appointed person is saying, Prabhu, that person who is your tenant in your house is not paying the rent, then I will immediately tell, hey, what you are doing, man? Why you are not paying the rent? Right? So there is a connectivity. So that's what Krishna is saying. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantuvaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreya paramavapsyada. If you pay the rent to that appointed demigods, then they will communicate. And then everybody will be shreya navapsyavata. They will be very happily living. So now, Krishna is continuing in this. Yes, Ishtan bhogani vo deva dasyante yajna bhavitaha tair dattanaba apradayebhyo yo bhongte stena evasaha. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods being satisfied by the performance of yajna supply all necessities to man. But he who enjoys those gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. Ishtan bhogani vo deva dasyante yajna bhavitaha. But if you say, yeah, what is this? Yeah, why should I give the rent? Every month I have to give 10,000 rupees. ये महीना हम लोग नहीं करेंगे. हम लोग खुद 10,000 rupees, with 10,000 rupees I can do so many things. I can enjoy myself. I will do that. Then what is that called? Stena eva saha. He is considered, stena means thief. He is considered a thief. You cannot do that. So, then Krishna makes this famous verse, Yajna Shishta Sanachanto Muchante Sarvakil Vishayi Munjate Tetvagam Papa Epachantyatma Karanat. So, somebody who is not in action like this, somebody who is always first offering to the owner, to the Supreme Lord, the devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat sin. So devotees means what? Devotees means he recognizes that everything belongs to Krishna. I must first offer it to Krishna. Then, after offering it to Krishna, then I accept it as prasadam. And when I do it like that, then I am liberated. Liberated means what? I am not bound by the so-called laws of this material world. That is mukti. But in case he doesn't do that, then he himself gets entangled in sinful actions. He gets punished. So, now coming to this verse of the Bhagavatam. This is knowledge. That how the laws are of this land. How the divine laws work. So, in an act like sex, sex is between two willing partners. Right? Man and a woman, they have agreed to have sex. In fact, in this scenario between Diti and Kashyapa, they are wife and husband. Wife and husband means as per both the law of the land as well as the divine law, they are allowed to have sex. And especially for producing children, they are allowed to do that. They are allowed to indulge in producing children. That is the idea of marriage between a man and a woman. Whereas Bhagavatam is saying, look at what Kashyapa is doing. They are pointing a finger at Diti and Kashyapa. This whole series of verses is what? They are pointing a finger at Diti and Kashyapa and saying, look at what Diti and Kashyapa is doing. And then they are saying, Diti and Kashyapa, now Kashyapa is saying that I am willing to have sex with you, but just wait for a few moments. Just wait. Now Diti made a request to Kashyapa that please let us have sex so that I can get some children, and I need that very badly. But you can see that all my sisters have so many children and I don't have any children. So please let us engage so that we can have children. And that's the request that Diti is making to Kashyapa, and constantly she is pushing Kashyapa to indulge in this. And finally Kashyapa says, okay, I will start. Your wife is like this, wife is like that. So many big things Kashyapa said. And now Kashyapa is saying, okay, let us have sex, but just wait for a few moments. That means very well Kashyapa knows what is the rules of the divine law. Divine law means in the Vedic, that divine law, it is given by whom? Manu. That is why it's called Manu Samhita. This constitution of India was created by Ambedkar. But there is another constitution which is divine, which was created by Manu. Manu has said, yes, begetting children, only properly married people can engage in this act. How to get married? There is a process. There is a Vedic process. How wife, husband, how a girl, boy should unite, how they are selected. There is a whole divine law. There is a whole divine path. Similarly, how they should have sex when they should have sex. There are divine laws over that. Prabhupada constantly talked about this. He said, to have unrestricted sex anywhere and any place, any circumstances, is nothing short of cats and dogs civilization. Prabhupada constantly talked about this. And anybody who indulges in sex, even in marriage, unrestrictedly, then that can be, Prabhupada used the word licensed prostitutions. Very strong word. Prabhupada says, first time when I heard, I was shocked. My God, what a word Prabhupada has used. Licensed prostitution. It cannot be like that. There are proper rules of how one must conduct even in married life. So, just imagine how far from the Vedic principles we have come right now. When we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read the Vedic literatures, and we see how modern society and modern life is, we are so far away from those principles. Far, far away. We cannot even think, my God, to this degree, one must follow the rules and regulations of life. In this age and time, in Kali Yuga, at this point, at this juncture, one must live life like this. Many times we become, it is impossible. We start thinking it is impossible to live a life like this. How is it possible? Today, all these kind of things are so common. Everywhere it is there. When we are just walking on the road, you can see on the left, right, center, everywhere, all kinds of scenes. People are sitting there. Boy, girl, evening, morning, who cares? Public place, no problem. Everywhere, temple, no problem. They are indulging anywhere and everywhere. Right? Whereas Bhagavatam is talking about such kind of things. And Prabhupada wanted that in his institution, all of us should follow this rules and regulations. How to match these standards? How to match these standards? Prabhupada says it is possible. It is very much possible. I'll read some Prabhupada quotes on this. Very inspiring that Prabhupada is making this thing for us. That, like, even when I read, I'm thinking, my God, how it is possible? To this degree and level, is it really possible? But when I'm reading these wonderful Prabhupada quotes, it is definitely possible. Prabhupada is saying, as a well-wishing teacher, guide and guru, Srila Prabhupada, this is a Prabhupada is saying, willing should be avoided and acting stopped, or else there is offense of breaking this principle, of breaking this basic prohibition of illicit sex life. You see, 2 points Prabhupada is saying. Willing should be avoided and acting stopped, or else there is offense of breaking this basic prohibition of illicit sex life, because thinking comes, I shall give it practical shape. That is nonsense. But because it is an old habit, we are unable to check it unless we can understand the nature of feeling, willing, and then action. And how? By proper use of intelligence and prevent thoughts which must come from maturing into actions. That is the practical application of Krishna consciousness regulative principle. Letter dated 28 February 1972 in Mayapur. So Prabhupada is saying that willing should be avoided and acting stopped. Here, what is happening here? In Kashyapa, in this verse, what is doing? He is willing. दे दिया, साइन कर दिया, हाँ चलो करते. So obviously then action will follow. As you know, you see, from this willing, here he has made the willing statement. And from the willing statement, what is follow? Naturally, the further action will follow. The rest of the actions will completely go on. You can see, he has told, I will do that. Wait for the moment. Already बोल दिया हाँ, तो फिर क्या है? So next Prabhupada is saying, one more quote very nicely. The deity worship must be continued by everyone. Another secret of success is that when one is very much sexually disturbed, you should think of Lord Krishna's pastimes with the gopis and he will forget this sex urge. To think of Krishna's pastimes with gopis, but not to try to imitate. You see, sometimes we think, oh, why we should think of gopis' pastime? No, Prabhupada is saying, you think of gopis' pastime, but don't imitate the gopis. Don't imitate the gopis. You think how Krishna played with the gopis and then he was so. Actually, you're dovetailing all those things. But don't imitate the Krishna. Don't imitate Krishna. So we should sing. So we should think how I'm reading Bhagavatam. Yes, because they are the great activities of the Lord Krishna. It purifies us. Because Krishna's activities with gopis, externally they may see very lusty, but actually they are acts of the highest purity of pure love. Sex urge is a symptom of every living entity, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is advised that it is something like the itching propensity. If one can tolerate this itching, he can save himself from the enormous troublesome business resulting from this itching sensation. So an intelligent person rather suffers the pain of itching sensation than accepting the after effects of the itch. Prabhupada says, in Vanaprastha life, one can live with his wife without any sexual connection. And the most important factor in all orders of Grihastha life, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is the basic principle. And for more detailed information, please keep in touch with me and I shall be glad to serve you to my best capacity. So Prabhupada is saying, if you want to protect yourself from this sexual desire, please chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Prabhupada says one more thing. What is that? To keep in touch with him. To keep in touch with him. We should not forget. How we can keep in touch? Please keep on reading Srila Prabhupada's books. His Vani, if you are constantly associating, you are directly in touch with Srila Prabhupada. Advanced Krishna conscious student, Krishna consciousness student should know it well that sex life also should be dovetailed with Krishna consciousness. Better to avoid it, if not possible to have in a regulated married life. But in all circumstances, our primary necessity is to advance in Krishna consciousness. I am glad that you are training Jagadananda to become my personal secretary, as well as you are training Mr. Phil to translate our thoughts to German. See, Prabhupada is... In the Krishna consciousness movement, these monkey disciples being unable to follow the strict regulative principles, Prabhupada is calling his disciples what? Monkey disciples. Prabhupada is saying, in the Krishna consciousness movement, these monkey disciples being unable to follow the strict regulative principles sometimes fall down and try to form societies based on sex. This is proof that such people are descendants of monkeys as confirmed by Darwin. This is there where? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 14th chapter, 30th verse. Prabhupada has put it in the books that some of his own disciples, Prabhupada is saying, they are like monkey disciples. And Prabhupada says, ये बंदर की औलाद ही है जो डार्विन ने बोला है सही है. Another place Prabhupada says, a determined person tolerates such sex urges as one tolerates the itching sensation of eczema. If not one can satisfy the sex urge by legitimate moral marriage, immoral sex life and spiritual advancement are incompatible proposition. Your full engagement in Krishna consciousness and constant chanting will save you from all inconveniences. See, another very important point Prabhupada is saying, that your constant chanting and full engagement in Krishna consciousness. Until and unless we are fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, our mind is markata. Like a monkey. Monkey cannot keep quiet. It cannot keep. If you see a monkey, constantly it is doing something or the other. Mind is like that. It constantly wants some actions. Otherwise, mind will do so many things. So put it in practical action. So sex indulgence is against spiritual advancement of life. Therefore, you have seen that the brahmacharis, they go there. It becomes very easy to enter into the spiritual kingdom. So that you can do here also. If you increase your attraction for Krishna, then naturally you lose attraction for sex. That is Krishna consciousness. This is the key thing. If you increase your attention for Krishna, then obviously your attraction for all these material things and sex is same thing only. We'll stop here if there's any question, comments. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की.